Hey family, friends, and followers, my name's Hannah Hilsebeck and I'm Miss Rodeo Iowa 2015. I am so excited to talk to you today about the rodeo announcer that you see at every single rodeo and who keeps you on the edge of your seat all night long while there's 2 or 3 hours of wild action going on in the arena. He's the one that's telling you what's going on, explaining the rodeo rules to you, but also has kind of a unique job because it's not just the 2 hours in the arena that you see him working. He's working all weekend long to put on a show for you to enjoy. So let me introduce you to Roger Mooney, the PRCA announcer here at the Sydney, Iowa Championship Rodeo, and I cannot wait to learn from him not only about the rodeo announcer's job, but also let you guys get your questions answered as well. So Roger, tell me, how do you become a rodeo announcer?
Well, Hannah, first of all, I've got the best job in the world. You get to see a show every night, meet a new set of friends every week. Whether it's broncs, bulls, and babes, it's all about information, education, and entertainment. We roll it up nice and neat in a 2.5 hour package, and sometimes you even get to see a rodeo queen.
Just if you're lucky. Awesome. So what's your job description? I know I get to watch you for 2.5 hours every night in the arena on your horse, but I know that there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes as well.
Usually you've got between 6 and 8 hours of what I call homework. That's doing stats, coming up with, hey, he's won $2.4 million. He's been to the National Finals Rodeo 8 separate occasions. He was a 2002 Resistol Rookie of the Year. But what you want to do is you want to take all those factoids and make sure that no matter what walk of life the rodeo fan is, that he becomes somewhat of a professional, and he knows that when an 82-point bareback ride is rendered, then he knows who did it, why they did it, and why they're probably going to do it again.
Yes, yes. Well, okay, now you brought up another thing. How do you stay up to date on the cowboys and the stock stats? How do you do that?
Well, it's a never-ending educational process. Good old ProRodeo.com. You've got bull stats, you've got rodeo livestock stats. You can get on there and look at bios of guys that did it back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, we had a world champion here in Sydney earlier this week that was back in the 70s a world titleist. So, you know, the past, the present, the future, it's RODEO.
So Roger, you have all this information. How do you keep it all organized?
Well, like I've told you before, you know, you hope for the best, expect the worst, never get disappointed. But the main thing is that you have as much fun as the person that bought a $15 ticket. You know, sit down next to a guy that's never been to a rodeo, sit down to a seasoned rodeo fan, and make sure that if he had to pay 25 cents extra, not only to watch the rodeo, but to hear the rodeo, that I give him his 25 cents worth.
Awesome. Well, I've met you many times and worked with you a lot, and I've always enjoyed you as a rodeo announcer. I think you do a great job of keeping those rodeo fans on the edge of their seat. But I've also seen you work on your horse, and I've also seen you work from an announcer stand. What's the pros and cons of each?
Well, you know, when it's raining outside, it's a little drier when you're not on a horse. I think the biggest thing is you can be a really good information, time and temperature kind of rodeo announcer if you're in a booth and you've got all these papers laid out in front of you. You're looking at a computer screen. You've got some tools and some weapons that maybe you don't have on the back of a horse. But my best office is in old flash when you can ride out and talk to 10 or 12,000 people, and that's exactly what I mean. When you can talk to them, not announce to them, not preach to them, not direct it at them. You're out there with them. They can see the guy talking to them, and they know, hey, he's my best friend for the next 2.5 hours, and it's red, white, and blue. It's cowboys, it's cowgirls, it's you, it's rodeo.
Awesome. Well, just one more question. What made you want to be a rodeo announcer? Now, this is just you, not rodeo announcers in general. How did you get into announcing rodeo?
I would love to say it's all the big money we make. I would love to say it's getting to look at rodeo queens, but it's a labor of love that was an accident. In 1984, I was on the college rodeo team, and the announcer en route had a heart attack.
Oh my gosh.
And they had a big crowd for that college rodeo. 3,500 people was a huge crowd. They asked, who's the biggest ham we've got? Everybody looked at me. I was long 17, took a month to wear out a disposable razor. And then, you know, while I was doing that gig, a guy come up and says, hey, I'd like for you to announce my rodeo next week in Alabama. That year I did 40 rodeos, and that was 31 years ago.
And how many rodeos do you do now?
I'm somewhere between 45 and 50 rodeo venues a year, somewhere between 250 and 250 to 300 shows a year.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing not only with me your knowledge, but also with my followers that I have. And for my Ag Scenes to Rodeo videos, I really, really appreciate it. So, and I've always enjoyed working with you. I hope that we get to work together a lot this year. So
you're beautiful, and if I had an ag teacher like you, I'd still be like in the 2nd grade.
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you.
And from Ag Scenes to Rodeo Queens, this is Miss Rodeo Iowa, Hannah Hilsebeck.